Hey everybody, Hunter back again from Showtime Studios. Going to do another update on the Peterbilt 352 cab that I'm working on for Ben Wicker. When this thing came in and I noticed that the doors were already hinged and the hinges were super glued into place, I was wondering if we were going to run into an issue with something. And I have this cab in its white base coat, and I did some testing and we did run into an issue. The hinges that he used on this are work very well, and like I say, for me they were a little big, but I think if somebody wanted to hinge the doors and something that looks decent, it's a good part for that. And like I say, I always use the model car garage hinges myself, the photo etched ones that take about, I've got it down to about a half an hour or so per side to bend them and get them formed and locked together. But when I do my assembly on those hinges, I do all of my fitting of the hinge and the door and, the interior door panel and the dash and just miscellaneous things. I do all that fitting, but I do not glue the hinge into place. I actually take the door, and when I'm doing my final paint work, I will set the door into place on the jamb after I've got the base coat down, and I'll tape it into place from the back side just to hold it there if I'm spraying pearls or metallics or something like that, but the hinge is not there. And when everything is done on the paint work and everything's buffed out and polished, then I go and glue the hinge in. Now, the reason why I do that is in the past, even with the model car garage hinges, I have found out that if you paint over top of them, when you operate the doors, the paint will come off. It's not a thing of whether you can get the paint to stick to the hinge. It's a clearance issue. And I'm going to pan the camera down here and I'll show you what we're talking about on Ben's cab. And what we're going to do with this is he's actually going to cut out another set of doors and send me, and I'm going to go ahead and bend the model car garage hinges up for it and get them all set and ready to go, and then we'll be back on to painting this thing. So here's what we ran into on this cab. Okay, as you can see, I have this side already taken out. Wasn't a real hard thing to do. This is a little bit of debonder, and we popped the super glue loose and everything was good to go. Now, there on the hinge itself, you can see that the paint has chipped off of that hinge, and this is only with a very thin coat of the white base coat. And if I was to go and put the stripes on this, and by the time I get up to clear coat, it's going to get to a point where if the clear coat's got any strength to it, this door probably will not even open. Or open properly. So kind of what's going on here, if I can get the camera to cooperate with us here today, I'll zoom in here a little bit and see if we can get a good shot of the hinge, which it's not gonna do it. We're trying it. There we go. There you can see where the paint came off the hinge. Now, if I can get this brush to come up here and show you what's happening, this top section of the hinge here is attached to the door. This section here is attached to the cab. This section here is the door. This section here is the cab. This section here is the door, and this section here is the cab. And the little section at the bottom is the door. Now, what we're having an issue with is when you swing the door open, it is scuffing the paint off of the hinge area that is attached to the cab. And what that is the clearance that's right down right behind this row of rivets here and right behind this row of rivets here. When you'll see a shadow line down through both sides of that hinge. That is the clearance for that hinge to operate properly. And what we ran into is as soon as you get a thickness of paint on this, it takes that clearance away and the plastic is actually scrubbing the paint off of the hinge. Now, the bad thing about these hinges are they are brass, so it's very hard to leave them unpainted in any way, shape, or form. I don't know if they make them in a silver finish. If they did, that would be the way to go. That way you could just go ahead and do all your pre-fitting and everything on your hinge, and then glue it in after all your paint work and everything is done. So that's what we ran into, and that is one of the reasons. So like I say, even on the model car garage hinges, anybody that wants to use those, just be forewarned that if you paint them, the paint is most likely going to come off of them. You know, I did it a couple years ago. I painted over a set of model car garage hinges, and the first time I operated the door, it was with a lacquer paint. The first time I opened up the door with those in place, it actually flaked all the paint off of every other hinge segment, and I did some research on it and figured out what was going on. So I just wanted to give this the benefit of the doubt to see if it would work, and of course, as you can see, it did not. Other than that, we got the cab in the base coat of white. There's a couple little spots I want to go back over and get a little bit better. So I'm going to work on that while he's getting the doors cut out and sent to me. And then I will also do a tutorial on how to shape the model car garage hinges, which is a piano hinge. You can use that on several different things. I've used it on battery boxes. I've used it on toolboxes. I've also used it on the doors. There's a lot of different things you can use that hinge on. And I will show you my technique for bending those hinges and getting them where they work very well and look decent. So stay tuned for that video coming up. But like I say, if you have any questions or concerns on this video, just leave me a comment and I'll be more than glad to get back to you. And Ben, I did this one mainly for you, just to show you what was going on, and so you have an understanding of what the issue is and the problems that we're having. Like I say, I was kind of scared of that, and I went ahead and tried this, and it did the exact same thing that mine did a couple years ago. So, but we'll get the model car hinges on there, and I think we'll be squared away, and everything will look good and operate good, and get this paint job done. And I'll be doing videos on the paint job. So, and I'll probably even do a video on when I make the mask for it to show you how I do that. Because there were some questions on how I do the very small pinstriping. So I also want to do a video on that. That'll be coming up. So I got a lot of videos coming up, a lot of information to get out there. So hopefully, this kind of forewarns some people that, are thinking about hinging their doors and painting over top the hinges. It's pretty much a no-no. Don't do it. It's going to cause you problems. And, I mean, you can add the extra clearance in there if you wanted to. But you're going to have a big out-of-scale gap around the hinge, and it's just not going to look good. So, you might want to think about that. But anyway, I'm going to let you go on that today. And like always, I thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.